What's going on, y'all? Shout out to the LDBC. It's your boy Fight Critic here to give you guys another video. And I'm here to give you guys a little bit of some conversation around Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Of course, you know that these two guys, as well as their respective promoters, Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn, have been publicly negotiating this fight for what seems to be an eternity. Now, of course, we know there are a lot of moving variables that is holding up this fight. You have not only the coronavirus situation, which right now seems to be absolutely putting up Jordan numbers both here in the United States and in the UK. And of course, you also have the other variables when you talk about Anthony Joshua is due to actually defend his title against Alexander Usyk, which is mandated. And you have Tyson Fury, who is desperately trying to hold on to the ball and wait for the shot clock to run out on facing Deontay Wilder for a third time. Now, ultimately, those two things are out of their control. As long as Alexander Usyk does not choose to take money to allow Anthony Joshua to fight Tyson Fury, he will be owed a fight against Anthony Joshua. And for Tyson Fury, the fate of the Deontay Wilder third fight is solely in mediation, where a mediator will be the one who decides if the fight is to push forward. Now, one thing that needs to be stated, just for the sake of a lot of people who will look into news like this, is the fact that both these promoters between Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum have been contradicting each other for what seems to be months about this fight. You've got Eddie Hearn, who's trying to spark up public appeal that a fight between Joshua and Fury is something that is held into more regard than the WBO's, mandated challenger, Alexander Usyk. And on the other side, you've got Bob Arum, who's been trying to purposely make it seem as if a third Wilder fight is not going to happen, even though the terms of the third fight between Wilder and Fury were agreed on when they signed on to fight the second fight. For Arum, he's trying to use the fact that the pandemic and the situation of pandemic should be held in regards to allowing that third fight in the time that they need to create the fight to expire. The problem with that claim is that coronavirus isn't something that they could control. It's not a situation in which Deontay Wilder chose to postpone the fight due to an injury, or the same thing with Tyson Fury. Neither fighter has retired at the same time as well. Simply what just ended up happening was a situation that affected the ability for the boxing commission to approve of fights and for the fight to be staged in an actual venue where it's able to make money was offset by something that is killing millions of people. So because of all this, you have to, look into the bare bones of everything. The Wilder versus Fury fight, the third fight, is something that you definitely have to still keep into consideration. Now, Alexander Usyk getting his title shot versus Anthony Joshua is a little bit more controlled because as much as Alexander Usyk may want to become, the champion and fight Joshua, he has to just deal with the fact that he's signed to Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn's going to do whatever the fuck he wants. But I think mostly what needs to be realized about the situation between Joshua and Fury is that neither guy has really signed on to do anything. So this can go into a different direction, as late as the 12th round. So the idea that, these two guys, this fight is signed, sealed, delivered, and that these guys have already, put that out there, it's not really the case. These two guys ultimately have not fully signed any paperwork. And at the very last minute, something can change. And I believe something will change. I don't think that these guys are going to fight just yet. I've seen Bob Arum negotiate in the public, and it just isn't something that I've always felt that it comes to fruition. Eddie Hearn, splitting image of that, a guy who tries to negotiate in the public and then does something totally different at the end of the day. So I don't think these guys are going to fight just yet. Granted, I could very well be wrong and this fight could be signed, sealed, and delivered, but I just think there's just too much holding this fight up, and they would have already worked on getting this fight signed to build the appeal that it needs in order to, stage it properly. But that's just me. I'm going to put out another couple more videos talking about some boxing stuff, and of course, if you haven't been on the channel before, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll come back with another one.